Well, that's 2026 off to a bang, isn't it? Look around you. But not just at the headlines. Look at the patterns. We've got Europe shaken by terror attacks. We've got civilians across the West being targeted again. But now we've also got Iranian streets burning with anger. We've got Western jets back over Syria. We've got special forces raids, presidents removed, regimes wobbling. The world doesn't feel stable anymore. It feels unlocked. And the question that nobody wants to ask, the question that makes people uncomfortable is this: what happens next? Because history doesn't move in isolated events. It moves in signals. And right now, the signal being sent to the world is simple. The rules are breaking. Violence doesn't spread because people suddenly become evil. It spreads because permission spreads. People don't copy causes, they copy justification. So when people watch presidents dragged from power, regimes challenged in the streets, borders ignored, force rewarded with attention, something subtle but dangerous happens in the human mind. The question shifts from, is this allowed, to, is this what time it is now? And this is when things can really turn dark. Because when strong leadership acts decisively on the world stage, it may deter enemies abroad, but it can also embolden minds at home. And this isn't armies or states, it's individuals, lone actors, disaffected men, radicalised youths, people who already feel ignored, betrayed and humiliated. And they don't study geopolitics. They don't read the nuance. They see one thing: that action works. Look at Iran. We've got millions of people risking everything against a hated regime. To many, they are heroes. And in their context, that may be true. But ask the dangerous question: what happens when people across the West watch that unfold? When they ask themselves, well, if they're justified in the streets, why aren't we? If force is moral there, why is it criminal here? If history is being written by fire, why should I stay silent? And that's how moral boundaries blur. Not through reason, but through narrative and story. And stories travel faster than truth. Western societies are already fractured. We've got low trust, cultural division, information warfare, echo chambers feeding anger back to itself. People don't feel represented, they don't feel protected, and they don't feel heard. So when they watch the world seemingly implode into violence, some won't see a warning, they'll see an invitation. Now, most people will never act violently. Most people just want peace. But history is never shaped by most people. It's shaped by a small minority who decide restraint is weakness, silence is complicity, action is destiny. And once that minority believes the world has entered a new phase, they stop waiting for permission. And this is called the contagion effect. Not violence copying violence, but justification copying justification. Force, even when necessary, reshapes the moral environment. And if Western governments fail to draw clear lines, fail to defend lawful dissent at the same time as condemning terror, and they also fail to maintain legitimacy at home, like we see in the Labour government right now, others will want to fill that vacuum, and they will write their own rules. And history has always been brutal in this way. So when authority looks unstable and when force looks very effective, the morality becomes tribal. The threshold for violence lowers. Now, not for everyone, but for enough. And this brings us to the moment that we're in now. Because this, right now, at this exact time in the West, we need very strong leadership. Not slogans, not mandated decline, not hollow reassurances, strong leaders that people will actually follow. Leaders who can steady the ship, calm the nerves, and speak honestly about the scale of the problems that we face. Leaders who won't inflame fear for clicks, and they won't deny reality to protect their careers. Because when people believe that there's no plan, and they believe that there's nobody in control, and they believe that the system is drifting, some will decide to create order for themselves. And history is very clear about where that road leads to. This is a moment for clarity over chaos, responsibility over rage, leadership over vacuum. Because if that vacuum remains, others, strong men, will step into it. And they won't ask for permission. This isn't fear, it's just pattern recognition. And a nation of sleepers that ignores patterns will wake up inside the consequences. Think about that.